Hi Emma.
Hello.
What does veganism mean to you?
Veganism to me is equality for all living species. So I think our society is under this impression that humans are, you know, better than animals or more important or smarter. But really we're all equal and we all deserve to be happy and live out our lives without being in fear and without being killed against our will. And that's why I'm vegan, because I don't want to be a part of unnecessary killing. I became vegan almost 3 years ago now. Feels like forever. I can't even believe that I wasn't vegan, you know. I feel like I fully woke up when I became vegan. Yeah, and I'll never not be vegan. I love it so much. I love the lifestyle and I love who I've become.
Do you have any one particular passion, or do you just stand for? You stand for all of it, but do you feel strongly about one thing?
One thing that really gets me really upset that I learnt about actually before I was vegan is the chicken industry. So the fact that there's such a high demand for chicken as a food, and specifically like the breast of a chicken, that's the part people like to eat, unfortunately, and the way they pump them with hormones to the point where their breasts overgrow so much that chicken can't even hold itself up anymore, and they're all falling over, their legs aren't strong enough to support the weight. And that for me is one thing I really get very upset about, and something I really like to share with people, because a lot of people maybe say, oh, I don't eat red meat but I still eat chicken. They think it's somehow better or more ethical or something, but I think that's the worst thing for me. It's something that really upsets me.
What tips can you give someone who is possibly new, or they're an activist but they just get so emotionally caught up and then they're unable to be an effective activist? So how do you keep that energy up? How do you keep that vibrancy? How do you keep sharing with passion and love and energy in service of our message and the animals?
It's very important to realize to always bring it back to why you're doing what you're doing. So people can get caught up in being nervous speaking to people. That's quite common. A lot of my vegan friends who aren't activists, when I suggest they could do activism with me, they say, oh, I'm too shy. I think if you focus on why, which is the passion you have for veganism and for saving animals and for equality, if you focus on that passion and you really tap into the passion of it, your nerves will completely leave you and you'll just be speaking from the heart. And whoever it is that's speaking with you, listening to you, whether it's someone who is kind of listening and agrees with you or someone that's very kind of against what you're saying, they'll be able to sense that and feel that genuine passion, and you'll find that that is the most effective thing. In terms of not getting so emotional about it, because it can be very emotional, especially when we do things like AV, where we have the Cube of Truth, playing footage of animal slaughterhouses while we're speaking to people. That can be really tough. I really don't know how I do that. I can't even really give you a technique of separating the emotion. It's just, I guess, maybe I can actually, now I've thought about it. I guess you need to realize that what we're feeling watching it and seeing it is nothing compared to what they feel going through it. For example, when I'm holding the TV screen in AV and it can get a little bit uncomfortable after a while, feet start hurting, your back starts hurting, sometimes you're sweaty if it's hot, sometimes you're cold if it's a cold day. You just think the pigs and the cows and the chickens, what they're going through every single day and the lifestyle that they lead, the filth, the lack of sun, lack of grass, not eating the right foods, being cramped, being hit, all these terrible things, it's nothing. Is what we go through is nothing compared to that. And I think if we can just remember that we are so lucky, we are humans, we don't have to go through these things. We're not all chucked into a big slaughterhouse and being killed, right? So we have it really good. We're lucky, and we have the ability to speak for the animals, to speak for the voiceless, and we need to do it. We need to speak up, because they can't do it for themselves. You know, I'm not gonna stay quiet so you can stay comfortable. That's kind of like my New Year's quote. My whole year is based on that quote, and I came across it on another person from AV's Facebook, I think, and it just resonated with me, and I posted something about it on New Year's Day, and it just, this big post just came from the heart, and after that, that's what I keep going back to. Yeah, okay, you might be uncomfortable, you might get angry, you might argue with me, but I'm not going to stay quiet just so you can stay comfortable.
What's your favorite vegan recipe?
It just depends on the day.
7 days in a week.
Just depends what I feel like. I mostly like to eat raw vegan food because it's the most nutritious. But if I want to cook something and I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know, like I need some comfort food, I have this really nice recipe for vegan mac and cheese.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's not the most healthy thing in the world, but it isn't that bad for you, I guess. It has nutritional yeast, which has a lot of vitamins in it, a lot of vitamin B12 specifically, which is something we all need to have a lot of. It's dangerous if we don't have enough. So yeah, it's got that, it's got a bit of, I use oat milk or almond milk, mustard, Dijon mustard, garlic powder, what else? A bit of corn flour to thicken it up, and it's really, really good. It's really simple, doesn't take long, and I put some greens in with it, some baby spinach, and I always use gluten-free pasta.
Did you feel that a vegan lifestyle gave you that extra energy to juggle everything and
yes,
all those late nights and long bus rides? And
of course, I think the most important thing in any life to have energy is sleep and nutrition, and I get the best possible nutrition from my vegan diet. Obviously sometimes I have a little bit of junk food, a little treat here and there, but it's still good. It's still not a dead animal. It's not a yucky something that came out of an animal. It's something that came from the earth. It's plant-based. If you eat the right foods for your body and you get enough sleep, then yeah, you can do anything. And I felt great doing all those things. I was tired some days, but I always pushed through because I had a good diet and I always made sure I got enough sleep.
what's your advice for activists to help them to look after their voice?
Okay, that's really, really good.
Like 3 things they
question.
can do.
Okay, first of all, is speak in your natural pitch. So if you naturally have a lower pitched voice like me, don't try and raise the pitch. It's very easy to raise your pitch, and by pitch I mean how high or how low your voice is. When you're excited, I tend to do it as well, but it's something I try and consciously not do, because if you're talking at high all the time and you're talking really high, it can cause tension. So it's very important to let it sit naturally where it naturally occurs. Another thing you can do, it's a little bit hard to grasp, it takes a bit of practice, is to open your throat. So if you imagine where your epiglottis is, which is the back of your throat, the thing that hangs down like this, behind there is kind of like the wall of your throat. If you picture there's an apple in the back of your throat while you're speaking, and it's kind of a weird feeling at first, it kind of feels a little bit weird, you're like, whoa. If you picture that being open while you're speaking, and every time you feel it close down, which is very common when you're speaking about emotional things, it's a defense mechanism of the body to close. You keep opening it, and if you speak for hours and hours in your natural pitch with an open throat, your voice will stay great. And yeah, trying not to clear your throat unless very necessary, and very gently if you must. Trying not to cough too much. Obviously not to raise your voice a lot of the time is very helpful. But yeah, clearing your throat and kind of being very rough with your vocal cords is never good. So trying to be gentle with it. Our voices are very resilient. You know, you can get a husky voice on the weekend from being out, and then you'll always find it will come back, but it's only going to last for so long.
Okay.
So if you're using your voice professionally and also in activism, you need to be really careful with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emma.
That's okay.
Awesome.